Hello, everybody. Okay, so we'll take a few minutes to relax and watch our breath, let the mind settle down, and then we'll do the practice as usual and go from there straight into, we'll do part of the meditation on remembering the kindness of our mother and generalizing that to everybody, and then we'll cover the meditation on love as well. Okay. Okay, so do the visualization. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, all the holy beings in the space in front. Ourselves surrounded by all the sentient beings. And both are countless and exist as far as the eye can see and beyond. And we think that we are leading all the sentient beings in generating the thoughts and feelings involved in the recitations. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings not be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all my disturbing actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel for sentient beings. I dedicate all the virtues of myself and others to great awakening. And then think that we're offering our body, possessions, virtue, everything, as we request the Dharma teachings. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strewn Mount Meru, four lands, sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. Venerable holy gurus, in the space of your truth body, from billowing clouds of your wisdom, love, let fall the rain of the profound and extensive Dharma, in whatever form is suitable for subduing sentient beings. Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. And then think that the a duplicate of the Buddha comes on top of your head and on top of the heads of all sentient beings, facing the same way as us, and helping us as we request to the merit field. Glorious and precious root Guru, sit upon the lotus and moon seat on my crown, guiding me with your great kindness, bestow upon me the attainments of your body, speech, and mind, the eyes through whom the vast scriptures are seen, supreme doors for the fortunate who would cross over to spiritual freedom, illuminators whose wise means vibrate with compassion. To the entire line of spiritual mentors I make request. Then light and nectar flows into us, white light and nectar purifying negativities, and then golden light and nectar bringing all the realizations as we say the mantra. Taya ta mani mani mahamani asoha. 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 So begin by remembering that all sentient beings have been our mother. We've had this very close relationship to them in the past. So we aren't strangers at all. And then using the example of your mother of this life, remember her kindness in giving you this body, giving birth to you, taking care of you when you were little, or if she couldn't. She made arrangements for somebody to take care of you, giving us an education, teaching us manners, all sorts of skills that we take for granted came because of our mother's kindness. So contemplate that for a minute. Remember those kindnesses so that you really feel like you've been the recipient of a lot of kindness in your life. And just by the fact that we're still alive, it means that people took care of us when we couldn't take care of ourselves. And then think of some neutral sentient beings. Imagine them in front of you. And think, now it seems that there's no close connection between them and me. However, they too, in my past lives, since beginningless time, have been my mother countless times. At the time, just as my mother of this life cared for me, so too did they care for me. Their kindness is boundless. So imagine neutral people and think like that about them. Remember, they haven't been just who they appear to be in this life. They haven't always been that. And then think about people you don't like, who you feel threatened by, who have harmed you, or harmed those that you care about. Imagine them in the space in front of you. And then think, What is the point of seeing them as my enemies? In my past lives, since beginningless time, they were my mother countless times. When they were my mother, they procured endless benefits and happiness for me. They protected me from endless harm and suffering. Above all, I couldn't bear to be separated from them, even briefly. And they couldn't bear to be separated from me, even for a short time. So we were very close countless times. If we now find ourselves in the present situation, it is due to our own destructive karma. At other times, they have been my kind mothers. And then opening your heart to all sentient beings, think, all sentient beings of the 10 directions in my past lives, since beginningless time, have been my mother countless times. At the time, just as my mother of this life cared for me, so too did they care for me. Their kindness to me is boundless and inexpressible. And when that feeling of kindness, having received kindness from others is there, then it becomes so easy to think of repaying their kindness. So now we're going to transition into that. So think the minds of these mothers who have cared for me since beginningless time are disturbed by the demon-like afflictions. As they have no control over their thoughts, they are crazed. They are blind to the path to higher rebirth and highest goodness, and they lack spiritual mentors who are guides for the blind. At every moment and with every step, they commit misdeeds. So it would be absolutely shameless for me to abandon them on the precipice of samsara in general and the precipice of the terrifying lower realms in particular. Thus, to repay their kindness, I wish to free them from samsara's dukkha and establish them in the joy of liberation. Guru Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. So that strong intention to free them from samsara's dukkha and establish them in the joy of liberation. In response to requesting the Guru Buddha, 5-colored light and nectar stream from all parts of his body into you through the crown of your head. Similarly, it flows into the bodies of all the sentient beings around you. The light and nectar absorb into your mind and body and into those of all sentient beings. It purifies all your negativities and obscurations accumulated since beginningless time. And it especially purifies all illness, interferences, negativities, and obscurations that interfere with the wish to free all sentient beings from samsara's dukkha and establish them in the joy of liberation. Your body becomes translucent, the nature of light. All your good qualities, lifespan, merit, and so on expand and increase. think in particular that a superior realization of the wish to free them from samsara's dukkha and establish them in the joy of liberation has arisen in your mind stream and in the mind streams of others. So when you meditate on that, it changes something in you, doesn't it? Yeah? And especially some of the lines like, what's the use of seeing this person as an enemy when they've been kind, to us many, many times. Yeah? Not just ordinary kindness, but the kindness of a parent towards their child, getting up in the middle of the night. Yeah, your kid's hungry, they're screaming, they're sick, you're exhausted. You get up in the middle of the night and take care of your child with love. Yeah, and that, all these people have done that for us. Not this lifetime, but, in previous lifetimes, countless times. All those ISIS soldiers, or militants, whoever it is, the gun lobby, all the people in the gun lobby, been our mothers and taken care of us and cherished us in previous time. Whoever it is, maybe people who have personally harmed us, who taken our stuff or ruined our reputation or betrayed our trust. Yeah, but they've been kind to us many, many, many times. So we see so clearly here that when our mind hooks onto the appearance of this life, and they did this to me, and they did this to the person I love, and they're going to do this to me, and they're going to do this to the other person I care about, and they help my enemy, and they're going to help my enemy in the future. You can see that all these kinds of thoughts, yeah, when we let our mind focus on those thoughts, then our mind gets so full of anger and hatred. But when we focus on the same people and see that they've been our mother in previous lives and have been so kind to us and taken care of us many, many millions and zillions of times in previous lives, yeah, and you really think about that and let that feeling flood you of, having been the recipient of that kindness, then holding all these negative thoughts about them, it seems really yucky, doesn't it? Like, how in the world, if I've received this kind of kindness, what kind of person am I that I just hold on to? Well, they did this and they did that, and I don't like this and I don't like that. It just all appears so stupid, doesn't it? Yeah, in comparison to the great kindness that we've received. And we also see so clearly that if I focus on these little things, my mind goes south, you know. If I focus on these tremendous kindnesses, my mind gets filled with a lot of affection. Yeah, and it's my choice what I focus on when I look at other people, because it's all there. Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, it's all there. And it's my choice what I focus on. And according to what I choose to focus on, that will determine what my experience is. So I can make myself miserable by recounting all the things they've done to me that I haven't liked, or I can make myself very happy by remembering all the more numerous things that they've done that have been a benefit to me. So it's completely up to me what I think about, how I look at people. Yeah. And then when we go into the meditation on repaying the kindness, you know, when you've really focused again and again and again on having been the recipient of kindness, then automatically, you know, I mean, we feel engaged with these people, we feel close to these people. Yeah, when we start thinking of what their lives are like, yeah, because most of these people probably don't know the Dharma. Yeah. Or if they do know the Dharma, their minds are overwhelmed by afflictions, and it's difficult for them to practice. But especially if they don't know the Dharma, there they are, you know, like no guide on the path, no one to help them distinguish between what is virtuous and not, and what is non-virtuous. And they're just kind of going through life, muddling along, trying to be happy, trying not to suffer, thinking that whatever they do to bring happiness to themselves and their family is virtuous, but not realizing that in the process of just giving love and affection to a few, they often get involved in deeds that harm many. Yeah? To get what we want for the few people we care about, often we will lie, we will trash other people, we will steal, we will kill, you know. So we create, you know, we look at all these people who have been kind to us, and in their attempt, you know, to be kind to their dear ones and to protect themselves as well, they create amazing negative karma, not even recognizing that it's negative karma because they have no spiritual guide. Or maybe they've even belonged to some kind of religion or philosophy or something that tells them that doing these deeds is good. Because that's what society in general tells us. Yeah? So often societal values, what society thinks is good, from a Dharma perspective, is really non-virtuous. And yet people, you know, these people have been so kind to us, they're just conditioned by society's values, and they think that they're being good citizens. They think that they're working for the benefit of others, but in fact, they're creating so much harm, you know, and damage, and not seeing it at all. So no thought of purifying, no thought of, you know, creating merit, because there's no thought of future lives. Yeah? Or if they think of future lives, it's completely wrong conception about them and, you know, what you have to do to have a good future life. And yet, you know, these are the very same sentient beings who have been so kind to us eon after eon, and they're just floundering around in samsara, you know, right near the precipice, yeah, of the lower realms, you know, because of the karma that they've created. that's in their mind stream ready to ripen. Just right there. All it takes is some small, small change in circumstance, and they have great suffering. Or all it takes is the change between one breath and the next breath. One breath stops, you exhale, they don't inhale again, and then boom, into the lower realms for who knows how long. Yeah, who knows how long they'll be in the lower realms. Yeah, and so when you think about that, yeah, then the wish to repay their kindness comes in a very specific way. It's like, I need to teach them the Dharma so that they can stop creating the causes for lower rebirth, create the causes for upper rebirth. I need to teach them the Dharma so that, you know, they will be able to attain liberation and full awakening. Okay. So then we see, you know, because we talk about repaying the kindness of others, we often have the idea that repaying the kindness of others means doing what they want us to do. Yeah, pleasing them, becoming the number one super people pleaser. And we think that's the way to repay the kindness. But often, in becoming the super duper people pleaser, yeah, we wind up leading them to create negative karma, and we miss the whole opportunity to really teach them the Dharma, or at least expose them to the Dharma. Because we're so busy repaying their kindness by taking them to the movies and cooking them good food and going to play miniature golf and you know, watching football and you know, doing everything they want. Yeah, but that's just giving them a little bit of pleasure in this life, and that pleasure in this life is gone in the very next minute, isn't it? You know. Now it's true with some people. Yeah, the way to establish a relationship with them is we have to do all these kinds of activities with them to establish a relationship. As I keep telling you, you know, when I visited my parents, the only way to talk to them was to sit in front of the TV, because that's where life happened. You know, the TV was on all day, and if I, you know, it was quite a sacrifice because I hate the TV. Yeah, but if I wanted to be with them, that's what I had to do. So there are situations where, you know, you have to do these kinds of things to maintain a relationship, but you do it with the motivation for their long-term benefit. Yeah. So it's really important when we think of repaying their kindness that we don't just think of, you know, kind of giving them Cheerios in the morning and you know, chocolate mousse in the afternoon. Yeah, that we think of something higher than that. Yeah. I remember when, many years ago, when Jeffrey came to Seattle and gave a talk at DFF. Maybe some of you were there. And he had just published his book on compassion. Do you remember? And I remember him saying something so specific about when, you know, we see others as having been kind to us. We want to repay their kindness, but we choose how to repay their kindness. Yeah, we choose what is the best way to repay their kindness. So it's not them telling us, I want you to do this in your life and be this and be that and do this and do that, and thinking that doing what they want us to do is repaying their kindness. You know, he really emphasized, we choose how to do it. So we choose what is the most beneficial way to repay somebody's kindness. And sometimes what we see as a beneficial way to repay their kindness is not their definition of repaying kindness. You know, maybe your parents want you to be an engineer and you hate engineering. Is it kindness to force yourself to be an engineer, to please your parents? Yeah, when it's something you can't stand and you know you're not going to be good at. Yeah, and that you might create a lot of negative karma by doing that. Who knows what kind of engineer? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything about engineering. Unfortunately, my parents didn't want me to be one. I was supposed to be a doctor.
You are.
Yeah. So, you know, we really need to think, you know, this whole topic of what does it mean to repay kindness? What does it mean to benefit somebody? Okay? Really, it takes a lot of thought, this one. A lot of thought and a lot of wisdom. Okay? And then from there, from, you know, thinking of wanting to repay the kindness of the others, and you saw how specifically here it was by leading them into the Dharma path. Then the next meditation is the meditation on love. So there's different kinds of love. Usually here, this fourth step is love, and then the fifth step is compassion. And if it's just regular love, wanting sentient beings to have happiness in its causes, then there's no specific order between love and compassion. Sometimes you can generate compassion, wanting them to be free of suffering first, and then love, wanting them to have happiness, you know, second, or vice versa. But here in the 7-point instruction, it's not that exact general kind of love. It's called heartwarming love, okay? And heartwarming love is a little bit different because heartwarming love sees others as lovable, which means that before you engage in the meditation on love, you do something like we just did here. Remembering sentient beings have been our kindness, our mother, remembering their kindness as our mother, wanting to repay it. Because when you meditate like that, then sentient beings appear to you in beauty. Yeah, they appear to you as lovable. And that appearance as lovable is very, very important. Yeah? Because if we don't see sentient beings as lovable, it's going to be very difficult to generate love for them or to generate compassion for them. Okay? So, in the 7-point instruction of cause and effect, we do that by remembering that they've been our mother, thinking of the kindness of the mother, wishing to repay it. In the system of equalizing and exchanging self with others, we do it in the equalizing meditation when we think of all the kindness that others have shown us, even in this very life. Yeah. So here it's not just the kindness that they've shown us personally, like it is when we remember that they've been our mother and be kind to us as our mother. It's the kindness just of people doing whatever job that they do in society that we benefit from. Okay? And so really thinking about the kindness of the people who do road work. or the kindness of the people who fix our utility lines when they come down, or the kindness of the people, you know, who reschedule our airplane flights after they've been delayed for 12 hours. Yeah, or the kindness of the people who grow the food we eat or make the clothes we wear. You know, most of these people are strangers. We don't know them. Yeah. Last week I had to call the PUD to ask somebody there a question about, she wanted to join the Yeses, you know, Yeses board, and I had to ask her some questions. And so I took the time. I said, she was in the admin of the PUD, but I said, you know, we really love the guys from the PUD, because when the electricity goes out, you know, they're working in the day, they're working in the night, they do everything to get the electricity back on again. And you'll remember last summer, it went out, you know, Dagmola was here, we had a house full of people and the electricity went out. And I'm sure, it was out for a couple of days, and I'm sure that the PUD was getting all these people complaining to them. But from our side, I remember we were just thinking, wow, these people, you know, they're out, because it was really windy, remember? You know, they're out in that kind of weather and they're working in the middle of the night, and, you know, just to get the electricity back on. Yeah, and so I told her that, yeah, that we really appreciated what they did. And she said, yes, our linemen are very good. Yeah, I said, yes, please tell them so. Yeah, because I'm sure that probably they just get complaint after complaint. Yeah, and somebody saying thank you is, you know, probably new. So, you know, this way of remembering the kindness of others really gets us in touch with all the small kindnesses that all sorts of people, small and big kindnesses that all sorts of people show us. Yeah. And so then we see them as lovable, and then generating love comes much easier. Okay? And you can see it, that it's just a matter of where we direct our mind. Because as soon as we let our mind, you know, a thought comes in, so-and-so did this to me. And as soon as we grab onto that thought and follow it, you know, then we're in a cesspool of unhappy emotions, aren't we? Whereas we see that thought come and we say, I know that thought, and it's rubbish. Drop it. And we drop it. We don't, it comes and it goes. Then our mind returns to a state of balance and a state of internal peace. Yeah? And this is what we get by practicing again and again and again and again. Yeah? So one more thing about seeing the kindness of the mother, okay, which this is an important point. Sometimes people, when they first hear this meditation, will go, I can't think of the kindness of my mother. My mother was an alcoholic. She didn't take care of us. You know, da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, and it's like, I can't think of the kindness of my mother. So in that case, what the lamas usually recommend is think of whoever it was who took care of you when you were little. Yeah, because people obviously took care of us. Yeah, even if it wasn't in a family situation, even if we were in foster care, or an orphanage, or who knows where, you know, a refugee camp. There's plenty of kids without parents in refugee camps. Somebody reached out and took care of us. And the proof of that is that we're alive today. Because if nobody took care of us, we would not be alive. Because when we were little, there was no way we could take care of ourselves. Okay? So think then, if thinking about the kindness of your mother is difficult, choose whoever it was who brought you up who was kind to you. If it was a social worker or a babysitter or a grandparent or a sibling or whoever it was, okay? Think of that person and their kindness to you when you were growing up. Yeah. Having said that, I think after you do that for a while and you get a sense of the kindness of the people who brought you up and gave you an education, made sure you brushed your teeth and went to school and all that kind of stuff, which was very kind, you know, otherwise, boy, we would really be, you know, bouncing off the walls. I think as we progress in our practice, it's very important to make peace with our family of origin. It's extremely important, you know, because if we go through our lives with a lot of resentment towards our mother, towards our father, towards siblings, towards grandparents, aunts and uncles, you know, because of, it could be anything, yeah, that we're holding resentment about. And it could be, you know, that there was genuine abuse in the family and we're resentful and angry about that. Still, I think for our own benefit and for us to be able to practice Dharma without obstacles, at some point in our practice, we have to make peace with all of that. And at some point, we have to be able to look at our parents and say, they did the best they could given the skills they had. They did the best they could. They showed their love in the best way they knew how, considering what they had experienced as children, considering what they had lived through, because they were from a previous generation, you know. My parents, for example, you know, they were children during the Depression. Yeah, they were young adults during World War II. I didn't grow up. I grew up in the Eisenhower age, you know, where the economy was doing well when I was a little bitty kid. And when I was a teenager, it was Vietnam, but I was a girl. So, you know, that's when the discrimination against women, you know, worked out to my benefit. Yeah? Because otherwise, I might have been drafted to Nam. Yeah, and then I would have left the country and it would have been a whole different ballgame. Okay? But I think it's really important to make peace with you know, whatever happened in our family. Because every single family has its craziness. Yeah. It's so interesting sometimes, I find, when we sit and talk sometimes about our families, you know, and like all of us came from what on the outside looked like okay families, you know, in the sight of society, you know, looked like, you know, manageable families, you know, maybe not, you know, Lassie's families or you know, Leave It to Beaver's families, or what a father knows best. Oh, God. You know, what? We grew up with that. Oh!
I don't know that one.
You don't know Father Knows Best? Well, Father, yeah. Anyway, or Leave It to Beaver, or I Love Lucy. Yes. Yeah. So, where was I? Yeah. That, you know, Like, you know, our families look, you know, relatively okay, yeah, on the outside to the viewpoint of other people. But living in the families and seeing what went on, you know, is a whole different ballgame. And sometimes when we talk about it, you know, it's just amazing, yeah? And we all have our own stories, don't we? Yeah, of what went on in our families that somehow we all lived through and became, you know, reasonably kind adults. Yeah, and we met the Dharma and we saw the value in the Dharma. You know, despite all that craziness. Okay, so I think it's important for our benefit to really make peace with all of that. Yeah. I remember at one conference I was invited to, this is when I lived in Seattle, so it was many years ago, one of these, it was in the day of the wounded child, you know, your inner child who's wounded, you know, your wounded inner child. And so I was invited to a conference like that. I gave a breakout session. And the plenary session, there was this one guy who was quite famous who was giving this talk, you know. I had never heard of him before, but that doesn't mean anything because I don't know who's famous and who's not. Anyway, he was giving this talk and he was pacing up and down the stage talking about his father, you know, and how the thing that was like so, his father was never around and he grew up in San Francisco and he so much wanted to go to a Giants game. And all the other boys, their fathers took them to the Giants game and his father always promised to take him. You know, the Giants are a baseball team. You know, take him to a Giants game. His father always promised and then his father never showed up and did it. And you know, he just like remembers that and he's suffering so incredibly much. It was this dramatic talk on the stage of, you know, how my father just betrayed my trust and let me down and didn't take me to the ball game and everybody else's father took them to the ball game. I mean, it was incredible. I don't know how much they paid him for a talk like this. But, you know, I was sitting there going, this guy is an expert. But his own mind is making him miserable. What is he an expert in? You know? An expert in self-torture? Yeah? He's like 40-something years old, and he can't have a little bit of compassion for his dad? Who knows what was going on with his dad? Maybe his dad lost his job, or his dad had cancer, or, you know, who knows what was going on? Yeah, but he couldn't make peace with it, and I just felt so bad for him, you know? So much unnecessary suffering. Yeah. And then, like I said, even if there is abuse, we still have to grow beyond that. Because what's the use of holding on to it? It's over. It's not happening now. Why are we holding on to what is a past phenomena and not substantially existent? So it's not happening now. Yeah, the having happened. Yeah. So really, for our own benefit, I think this meditation can be very, very valuable for us. Okay. Okay. So, before going on to the next meditation on love, I want to pause here, see if there's any questions, also from the people online. Okay, so let me summarize.
Yeah.
So, the thing about repaying the kindness to others, she was sitting there thinking that, there's all these sentient beings who creating so much negativity and they aren't even interested in the Dharma. And like, how am I going to benefit them? Yeah, I mean, forget about our own limited capabilities, but even what we can do, how can we benefit when some people are totally closed, not at all open. And so she was getting really kind of like, oh, it's hopeless, And then she remembered what she was like when at age 17 or 27 or whatever. And, surely if the Buddha would have appeared in front of you then, you would have said, who are you? Go away, Give me my pleasure.
Cool, but don't talk to me.
Yeah, yeah, you look kind of cool, but don't talk to me because I'm too much enjoying my pleasure and I'm too stuck in my own misery making, thinking that it's making me happy. So, I don't have time for you. And yet, in spite of, seeing how close she was herself at some point in her life, seeing that the situation changed, the karma ripened, and then, how much her own life changed because of meeting the Dharma. And so seeing, therefore, that it's not hopeless. Yeah, that everybody can change. It just needs the right time and the right karma ripening. And you were fortunate it happened in this life. Some people it doesn't. But however much we can plant seeds in their mind, yeah, because you can't force anybody to like the Dharma. You can't push it on anybody. You can plant little seeds in their mind stream that give them a good feeling about Buddhism. And then, in the next life, maybe that will ripen. And then there'll be, suitable vessels to hear the teachings. Okay, so she was saying sometimes she has to go to town and run errands. And sometimes the mind thinks, oh, boring. Why doesn't somebody else have to go? But then when she remembers, I don't know who I'm going to meet, but whoever I meet, there's going to be the opportunity to have a wonderful exchange with this person. So I'm going to set my mind like that, so whoever I meet, I can bring some joy into their life, by talking pleasantly to them or encouraging to them or whatever way I can. And then also just by the fact that you're wearing robes, you don't have to say anything about Buddhism. But the person, if you have a good exchange with them, then they think, oh, this person's a Buddhist and look how kind they are. And that's planting a good seed. Yeah. And so now you have a very different attitude about going to town. Oh, can we use Manjushri as the guru deity for these meditations? Yes. If you do that, then do the Manjushri sadhana. And then, when it comes time for the Lamrim meditation in there, then just, you can switch right over to this text and then do the meditations and asking for Manjushri, to please inspire your mind to gain these different realizations. So the fly, a fly in the meditation hall that was on your puja table and dying, and then you thought, this has been my mother in the past. And if she were in a human body, I would pay a lot of attention to her when she's dying. But in a fly body, we tend to just think, whatever, But you changed that, and you really paid attention to her and, sent her off with some love. And, and it's very good if you see an animal dying, do some mantra and then blow on it. Yeah. Right. So sometimes you have in your case, you had a bad, relationship with, your father, and then you wanted to change that, so you wanted to become closer to him, but it just wasn't possible. That's not what was happening. Yeah, and so you can't push to try and create a certain kind of relationship. And so you found that when you just accepted the situation the way it was and cared about him for who he was, not who you wanted him to be, then there was much more peace in your mind. Yeah. And that was very much my experience too, because I, in my teenage years, felt they don't, I thought they don't accept me for who I am. And then when I'm, and that was so painful for me. And then when I met the Dharma, I realized I don't accept them for who they are. Yeah, I want them to be entirely different. And I thought, what am I complaining about if I'm doing the same thing? And then I just said, they are what they are and I am what I am, and accept, the connection that's there. And yeah, and then my mind too was just so much more at ease and at peace about everything. Yeah. So you had an opportunity. It was like the right thing, the right medicine at the right time, when your brother was speaking very, really trashing your father. And you said to him, wow, when you speak that way about our father, you're creating the cause for your son to speak that way about you. And that really woke him up, really woke him up. And it's very true, because children learn their attitudes from watching their parents. And so, as a parent, if all you do is criticize your own parents, you're teaching your children that's how they should talk about you, is criticize you when you aren't there. Yeah, or in my family, if you criticize brothers and sisters, yeah, then children see that, and you're in fact telling your children, quarrel with each other, because that's what you're doing with your brothers and sisters. Yeah, and so you had that opportunity to point that out to your brother, and it really changed him. Ah, that's good. Good. Okay, so let's look at the next topic, which is love. Okay, so I won't lead the meditation now, but I'll just talk a little bit about it. Okay, so here the meditation on love is wanting sentient beings to have happiness and the causes of happiness. So again, it's really something to think about. What is happiness? What is the happiness that I'm wishing for sentient beings to have? Yeah. So if you look at Maslow's, hierarchy of needs, you might start out with, well, first, they need physical safety. And they need food, shelter, yeah, clothing, medicine. They need to be able to stay alive. Yeah. And so you can't teach the Dharma to somebody who doesn't have the basic physical requisites, because there's no way they can listen because they're in too much physical suffering. But there's this whole thing of, as you grow into a full person, different needs that you need to fulfill and different skills that you need to master. And so thinking about that, where is a person at in their own internal growth? Yeah, not where do I want them to be at, but where are they at? Okay, so the first one's physiological.
Safety.
Second one is?
Safety.
Second one's safety.
Yeah. And love and belonging.
Oh, third is love and belonging.
Then esteem.
Oh, fourth is esteem.
And then self-actualization.
And then self-actualization. Where does creativity and...
self-actualization.
That's self-actualization? Okay.
Yeah.
So physiological things, then
Safety.
then just safety, security of body, employment, family, just having some kind of basic security in your life. Yeah, which, you know, in samsara where everything's totally insecure. Yeah, and then the third one was?
Love and belonging,
yeah.
Friendship, family, and sexual intimacy.
Okay, so love and belonging, friendship, family, sexual intimacy.
Esteem.
Yeah, we're renouncing that. The fourth is esteem.
Self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, respect by others.
Okay, so self-competency, achievement, respect of others, and respect by others. Okay, so attachment to reputation. No, I mean, you can see with all these things how they're very true, but how we get them skewed when we bring in attachment, don't we? And then the last one is self.
Morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts.
Okay, so self-actualization, acceptance of facts. Yeah, morality, creativity, spontaneity, that one you have to be careful of too.
Problem solving,
yeah.
Of prejudice.
Okay, problem solving, definitely.
Other people's problems.
Yeah. Where you become Mr. or Ms. Fix-It.
Late in the game for morality to show up?
Yeah, no. It is kind of late in the game for morality, isn't it? There was something earlier.
It's the second one too, safety.
Safety, yeah. Okay. So we might want to redo it. Yeah. But the point is that when we wish others happiness, we have to see where they're at. Yeah. And like I said, not where we want them to be at. And this depends not only on that kind of scale of needs and things, but also where somebody's at in their life, because according to your age, there's different things that you're developing and mastering at different ages of your life. And we need to take that into regard when we think of benefiting people, when we think of wishing them happiness. Because, you know, if we're expecting, wishing them the happiness of a life stage that they're not at, either because they've gone beyond it or they aren't there yet, then we're going to miss, okay? There was one book I read a long time ago. What was it called? Something like Patterns or? Passages, yes, passages. So, you know, talking about, you know, different things that at different ages are what you're supposed to be learning and doing and mastering, yeah? And thinking about that when we wish others to be happy. You know, because if we present Dharma to them, there's many ways to present Dharma. So we have to see where they're at, you know, and what they need at a particular time, and wish them the happiness that accords to where they're at and what they need, you know, and also wishing them the cause of happiness. So it isn't just like having a nice daydream. May my family have wealth, and may they buy a really nice house, and may they, you know, have the big refrigerator mom's always wanted, and the golf clubs dad's always wanted, and, you know, may they get along with each other and not bicker, and, you know, it isn't just that, okay? You know, wishing them that kind of happiness, because we can see people can have that kind of happiness, but if they don't create the causes of happiness, that happiness gets used up, and then afterwards there's no more good karma ready to ripen. So it's extremely important to wish others the cause of happiness too. In other words, to wish that they have a virtuous mind, a mind that, you know, is interested in benefiting others, in being kind, in being generous, that they have good ethical conduct and good values, that they are able to, you know, work on their temper and you know, master that and all these kinds of things. And so to wish them, you know, the psychological, spiritual ambience whereby they can create some virtue, so that that virtue can be there as the cause, not only for future happiness in samsara, but, you know, that it ripen as precious human lives, which means that they are able to meet the Dharma and practice the Dharma, and through having a series of good rebirths, then be able to attain full awakening. Okay, so really thinking about, you know, what is happiness and what is the cause of happiness, you know, and thinking about it from a Dharma way, not just from a general society way. So it's not just wishing, you know, may everybody go on a cruise in the Mediterranean, you know. Yeah, it's not just that. Yeah, they go on a cruise, then what? Yeah. So, but it's, you know, to really think what is real happiness and what are the causes of happiness, and to wish that for them. That doesn't mean you don't wish good things for them in samsara. Of course you do. But don't just have a samsaric outlook when you're generating love. Yeah?
Speak about general love here or heartwarming love?
Just general love here.
General love.
Yeah.
So we need compassion for that.
No, what I was saying is there isn't a certain, between general love and compassion, there isn't a predetermined sequence of which one you generate first. Okay, that's what I was saying. Could be love, it could be compassion. Okay.
I appreciate you talking about the causes of happiness, because I don't think that really think about that. And, you know, I really don't think I've thought about that before when I've been doing different meditations.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you think about wanting people to be happy in the various you know, what that looks like, but I don't think I think enough about the causes.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Yeah. It is to think about karma, you know? And how, you know, also to think, if I really care about these people and I have a relationship with them, how can I encourage them to create good karma without mentioning anything about karma and without preaching to them about something? But how, either through my example or through my encouragement or through, you know, how can I, you know, get people to think about acts that they can do that would create virtue. Okay, so please think about all these things between now and next week. And then we'll continue.
May the
Spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Losang's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Nuratna mandalakam niryatayami. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha. that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In the snowy mountain pure land, you're the source of good and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, may you stay until samsara ends. May the deeds of explaining and practicing the Dharma, done by groups supporting the teachings and their upholders, who spread the view of dependent arising and non-violent actions in the 10 directions, and especially at Sravasti Abbey in the West Floor